Hey there, and welcome to this week's edition of Bulls versus Bears. Got JT and Dave here with me. Kai's off on his boat again.
That's right. Well, it is a lovely day in Sydney.
It is a lovely day in Sydney.
I'd rather be on my boat too.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, he's put in a hard wicket this week.
Market's up, so he's celebrating.
Oh, mate, it's an easy job when the market's up, that's for sure. So, disclaimer.
Oh, that's right,
yeah. So, boy, hang on.
Yeah,
Jeez, even you forgot this week. Obviously, opinions and thoughts only. I would assume everyone would have got that by now, but always consult a professional before making any financial decisions. And this is general advice only, not specific to your needs, etc., etc. So, NBC in the media this week. Our learned friend who is away, cruising Sydney Harbour, he was on Monday.
That's right. He was on the call on Monday.
He was. So
you had Wednesday afternoon.
Wednesday afternoon, which was awesome. Like calling the election basically as. So I had that Poly market up.
Yeah.
And look, the Juliet and Nadine, they didn't want Trump to win. Let me put it that way. And they were still clinging under that hope at the end, and they're like, the blue wave or the blue wall or whatever the hell it was, and I had my phone under the desk and I went, no, Trump's won, because there's still a chance. I said no, it's 97%. And in the end, they weren't particularly happy, the ladies, and we're politically agnostic here, aren't we, JT?
Yes, we are,
comrade.
Well, the thing was, I actually had the trade on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Before sort of the action kicked off, and what I did on that day was I actually took an intraday chart of the S&P futures back in 2016. So I know you were trading back then. I was trading as well. And, and that was an amazing day. And the reason why I brought up the intraday is it just showed that most of the action happened around midday till 1 o'clock till 2 o'clock, into that afternoon, and it was just showing that I was on there at 11:30. This is when the movement's going to happen. And we had the same thing. Basically, a few of the early states got called around midday.
And the way the collegial system works, it's like the dumbest. Like for the flag bearers of democracy, it is like the most retarded political system in the world. But the big states, obviously, with California's got like 54 college votes or something. But Texas has got like
46.
46, and it's about a tenth of the population and economic impact. So, but look, there was no mincing words. Trump absolutely romped at home. The Republicans romped at home.
The popular vote too, which is a big one.
It was like a $15 million vote swing or something stupid. Apparently, he polled better with women and Hispanics. Which I find very hard to believe, considering he was up against a Hispanic woman. Although she did claim to be Indian and African American as well at stages, so she's a real mixed bag. No doubting what Trump is.
So I mean, I don't want to get too political, but I think that the main thing that we got from this election is that you might want to have a few policies. So whenever I chatted to people, because I have a very strong Twitter feed, but I understand that. I'm pretty self-aware that.
Well, markets guys tend to be right-leaning, so.
But the thing is, so when you're trying to get the facts, you have to know what the source is coming from. But the thing is, when I'm chatting to my mates who are staunch Democrats, it was always just, I hate Trump. There wasn't. Oh, okay, fair enough. I get that point. But so what's Kamala going to do? I just hate Trump, and I was like, okay, well that's very short. It's a very short argument. So but either way, that's I think that's where they fell down.
I mean, look, we'll obviously go into it a little bit more, but I wrote an article on the day basically because we just kept on hearing the 2016 playbook, the 2016. So we're flicking between CNN and Bloomberg, etc. So I wrote up an article on the 2016 playbook, and then obviously what it might mean, what happened back then. There's a lot of things that were very different, but it was just like America.
Yeah.
It just rocketed. So,
Yeah.
and we did skip over. Kai did like a couple of gold companies, which we will get onto a little bit later on. But Evolution of Mining and Spartan, which has been belted up a little bit. But also he liked one which is on our a new members dashboard, which is coming in the next week or two, which is Data 3, which is one of our small cap recs. So. Yeah, we'll talk about that later on. But you can obviously, if you've got the PDF, you can download, how to play from an investment standpoint. Bond yields went through the absolute roof.
Yes.
But so did stocks and the US dollar. Everyone was going, well, why are commodities down? It was not really anything to do with commodities. It was just the US dollar was insanely strong.
Yeah. Plus, don't forget, basically the metals have had a great run.
Yeah.
This is the first pullback, and obviously must have just triggered a few. Like as soon as there was a little bit of selling, everyone just went, okay,
Well,
I'm taking profits too.
8 months of trailing stocks because they haven't been stopped out. So it was everyone's saying, oh, volatility was the winner. Like the media called a close race only because it's their best ratings day every 4 years.
Yeah.
So it was never a close race. We've always said Trump was going to win it, and I didn't think he'd hammer they're in trouble now, the Democrats. God knows what they're going to do. I don't think there's anyone. I haven't even heard anyone go, oh, who the Democrats going to put up? I think they're just literally sitting in the corner licking their wounds. But but let's get to stocks this week. We started the week with a few more founder woes, which all seems to be over now because WiseTech's back at 127.
That's that founding CEO must be doing a good job.
That founding CEO must be doing a good job. Sorry, founding CEO on a contract basis.
Oh, that's right.
I'm going to give myself another pat on the back there. We nailed that buying back in. We're already up 12%. I'm not saying I called that well, but I'm not saying I didn't either, just quietly. But also...
well, the thing is that the market has a tendency to make it look bad a lot of times.
Yeah.
So when there is a time that it does make you look like a genius, you got to take it.
We may actually even start the WiseTech section of the podcast every week. We'll just revisit that one trade. Remember that WiseTech? But obviously one founder didn't get out of jail. Could be going to jail. But didn't get out of jail with MinRes moving on Ellison. Got pretty hammered, but it's still...
It has bounced a little bit, but it's still what's around that 38 level as well. So, it hasn't recovered as much as WiseTech. I think when you...
WiseTech's obviously had... tech's just been on an absolute tear. So, and we just have the shortest memories in history now. So, that's why Trump can only actually do less than 1 in 10 things that he says. They'll forget it. But what did you spot this week, Davey?
Anyone holding SIG is going to be very happy this week. Obviously, the Sigma Healthcare acquired or take over Chemist Warehouse. Obviously, most of you guys will know, one of the biggest pharmacy chains in Australia.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it jumped up over about 20% or something like that over the last day or two. So
it did. It really stole the thunder of one of our picks, JLG, which had an awesome day.
Yeah.
Which we really tried to write it out of the daily our afternoon report, but it was a pretty good run. But I mean, my first thought was, isn't that done yet? I'd forgotten that it was still going on.
No, so that's definitely one that I missed because when I was looking at that, I think Sigma jumped to $1 and it fell back, and then I just saw a constant bid there. And the main problem with that was it's because it's an M&A play, you have to kind of get into the minds of the ACCC. So if all it takes is just the ACCC to say, we're not sure if we're going to approve it, then you could the stock could just halve in value as well. So, either way, that's been a great one. Price action told me it was probably going to go through, and there was plenty of money behind it. So, well done to all those involved.
Yeah, well, look, there's been 20% moves on a lot of stocks,
Exactly.
In between times. So just be wary of how long you had to wait for that 20%.
Yeah,
and if you'd just taken half it off the table when it spiked the first time, you probably would have been much better off. But and we had the banks today. I think the banks have been, they've been well supported price-wise, but they've had really dour reports. basically. But
But the markets ignored them. That's the key.
Yeah,
I mean, like the thing is, like, so ANZ, it did come out, it did sell off early, but then just looking back here, we're not quite closed yet today, but it's back at record highs.
well, they're all cutting divvies. They're all giving a dour outlook, and but the 2016 playbook, you buy financials. So I think that they just blindly just went right. Trump's going to win, and they just flicked the switch on, a bunch of strategies, even just that didn't have any remote correlation to anything else. It'll all sort itself out over the next week, I reckon. But yeah, I mean, look, and there has been a bit of, like, JLG was a good one this week. Neuron Pharmaceuticals was another good one.
That's right.
I'm like 15% today. Or
yeah, and then I think it was just about the same yesterday.
Yeah, we spotted it 2 days ago. I was like, this looks okay here.
Yeah, but I mean, Telix keeps making a new record high, so I'm like, So we had Neuron and we switched to Telix. So and then Neuron's had I think we sold Neuron above where it is now. Because it had a royalties issue, right? Like,
not just that, like it's been absolutely smashed for a good few months. So yes, 2 days ago was the first sign of positivity I saw, followed by some news, and then obviously it's had a monster day.
Yeah,
So good time to have some good news though about the stock as well, because it's just going to continue to go up. Because
Yeah.
the market's going up.
Well, look, health technology was actually one of the weakest sectors this week. So in the US, basically we've got the
Two heat maps.
two heat maps. The one on the left is obviously very green, except for Apple, which I agree with because I think that company's in more trouble. Like if it wasn't sitting on cash, those iPhone sales were horrendous. They're not innovating. They're late to the AI thing. I mean, Tim Cook just needs to do Apple a favour and sack himself, to be honest. It's just like never has there been a more shining example of a company that has just gone, we're retiring, basically. But obviously the Republican there, that is pretty red. There's still a couple ready to go, to come through, but they've won every single house. The Senate, the executive branch. They'll have another 2 Supreme Court judges by the end of this term as well. Elon's going to do
the Department of Government
Efficiency.
Yeah,
Doge.
A bit of Doge.
Yeah, I'll chat about Doge a bit later, but yeah, but that was an easy trade.
So really, just do instead of having the market map up there, that should be the US stocks this week. The bull riding a rocket, basically. I would say, this will probably, the enthusiasm will peter out a little bit. I would imagine in the next couple of weeks, because there's a couple of there's a couple of these rallies have already come a cropper. Like JP Morgan was up 12%, and it gave back like 6 last night on 9 years, and they did get a little bit silly.
Yeah.
And Trump's, he's filed for Chapter 11, companies related to him, 6 times at least. So there's a reason that's probably happened, and I found out this week, is because he said not only is he going to cut taxes, which is their revenue, but he's going to reduce the debt. So mathematically, that's impossible. So I think that's, maybe they need to do like one of those sobriety tests that they do in the US, where he's got to like stand there and touch his nose or whatever. But
just on that, like Tesla obviously is one of the biggest winners here.
I
think we chatted about this a few weeks back. So one of Trump's campaign or things he promised was that if you bought a car that's made in America, you get tax deductions from that. So whatever interest you pay on
Sorry,
that.
and what were the top 4?
Oh, it wasn't the top 4, but 4 out of the top 10.
4 out of the top 10. I've been saying top 4 all week.
So 4 out of the top 10 cars that are made in America are Tesla.
No way.
Yeah. So yes, I know. Elon might seem like he's doing it for just for the freedom of liberty and things like that, but there's always a reason behind it.
Yeah,
and that could be one.
And he had like the memes where obviously he had the sink where he took it into Twitter.
Let that sink in.
Yeah, and he did that on the White House lawn or something apparently. But look, I mean, SpaceX as well. That's massive government contracts. I mean, he was sealing those.
And don't forget Twitter.
Well, yeah.
Twitter. I think so. It was all through Twitter, but I think one of the big things that will that comes out of this election is that just the mistrustful mainstream media now is at an all-time high.
Yeah.
I mean, like, even during the day of the election, all the all the left-wing media were like, "Oh, it's very close.
Yeah.
We still got a chance, but we still, yeah."
Bloomberg was like that as well. I mean, they're trying to keep viewers and
No, but
ratings,
that's
right?
but that's
but those guys were still doing it at 4 or 5 o'clock our time when
exactly
it was definitely
like Polymarket's Betfair. All the bookies had already paid out, but they were like, "Oh, all we need is a bit of a swing here, and Kamala's still got a chance." And you're like, "Are you sure?"
What kind of a swing are we looking for?
Yeah, there is, you cannot possibly find enough like postal votes in no.
Exactly. So either way, like, I think the fact that you had Elon, even Rogan at the end, like he did those 3-hour-long interviews. Even the team he's put around him, like it was just fairly compelling.
Yeah, Musk joked about buying CNN this week as well, and I think as well he's copped a lot of shit for for paying $40 billion for Twitter. And look, let's face it, he pretty much said he'd buy it, and then got caught. Like he didn't want to buy it. He tried to weasel out.
Someone said yours.
Yeah, exactly. And
someone said, yeah, that's a Phil.
Yeah. But look, one of the jokes that was going around this week was, everyone's been laughing at him. All he got for his $40 billion was, control of 3 houses of government. So it has definitely paid off. And look, even in terms of renewables, so that was one of the dumb things about the 2016 playbook was renewables are supposed to do badly, fossil fuels are supposed to do well. Well, he's got Elon Musk in there, who's Solar City EVs. Not to mention the fact that they did 2016. They did really poorly initially, renewables, and fossil fuels went up. But over the course of his presidency, fossil fuels were down and renewables stocks were way up. So
well, the thing is, that's actually what he wants to do. So his actual plan is drill, baby, drill. So it's pretty. But he wants to just bring energy costs down in the US.
Yeah.
Obviously, energy feeds into food production, manufacturing, everything. So that's his plan to actually try and help with inflation, and then obviously put tariffs on China.
Yeah, well, man, it'll be interesting now that he's got no one to fight with now.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to have a face of the Democratic Party for. You would not touch that with a 1,000,000-kilometre long pole at the moment, because it really is whoever goes up next. I mean, at least it'll be a clean race because he's not allowed to do another term.
Yeah.
And let's face it. And the reason he ran was because now he can pardon himself because he's got sentencing in 2 weeks. The thing he got convicted in, he's got sentencing in 2 or 3 weeks.
Biggest thing that was hinging on, he needed to win basically.
Yeah, never underestimate a bloke who's
next on the line.
Next on the line to go into prison. But look, he could either be really easy to deal with because basically he's uncontested. And it'd be interesting to see. It might be like the Tony Abbott thing, where basically he was a great opposition leader, but
as soon as
he was the leader and had control, it was like, well, actually, you've got no personality apart from being a prick. So, and people really, really hated him. So, it will be interesting to see, or whether he just he doesn't have to get voted back in. He can pardon himself. I'm pretty sure he'll go and make sure that everything he can possibly be convicted of. He'll drag it out, make sure that he gets pardoned, and then away he goes. But but he could be pretty dangerous if he doesn't have to get re-voted back in. So
I'm actually a little bit more optimistic on because for me it's the guys he's surrounded himself with. So he's got Elon
that is a very good point.
Got who's the vice president? Vance.
JD Vance.
JD Vance. I watched his interview.
He was pretty impressive.
Exactly.
Yeah. Whereas Tim Walsh was bumbling. Why do you replace Joe Biden with a younger, more idiot, dumber Joe Biden? It was like watching Elmer Fudd walk around.
Exactly. So you got Vance there, and then
he's also got a bit more energy than Pence as well.
Yeah, exactly. And don't forget, they've got RFK there. So RFK was come in with the Make America Healthy Again.
Yeah.
So but he's just talking about let's just fix up our food supply system, things like that, and you're like, yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
It was a pleasant surprise to actually have a look at that team, and I don't know the names specifically. I apologise, but but I went through what they've done, and there's a couple of there's some really young people in there as well, like they're 40 to 45 years old that are really, really highly successful entrepreneurs. So it.
Have a look at Vance's.
I know, yeah, no.
Actually served on the army or special forces or something, something elite. Came back, started a business. He's actually quite wealthy as well. So you know.
Whereas Tim Moss was bragging about he's never invested. It's like we may as well have walked out and go, I've never learned maths. Anyway, so at least we've got Biden, Harris, and Walsh will never ever be allowed near a Democratic convention again.
Well, I think the Democrats obviously have to pretty much just burn the house down and rebuild from the ground up.
Well, and I think it was definitely a backlash against the woke. Everyone is so sick from the Paris Olympics opening ceremony this year to it's I think this election and the sweeping way in which it was won is just. It's just normal people's way of saying we're really just sick of your crap.
Yeah. You had your fun.
Yeah. It's we don't. Not everything's got to be non-binary, bloody blah 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 blah. It's everyone just wants to get on with their lives.
Well,
so.
the phrase that kept popping up in the media is they're out of touch, and that's why the Democrats. So, So.
Well, they're sort of, they always used to bitch about the Republicans being controlled by the Tea Party. I think it's almost gone, it's the woke controlling the Democrats.
Well, that's
now.
the thing, it's swung so far the other way, it was just way too far.
Yeah.
And then everyone just said, well, that's a bit too far left,
But yeah, anyway, we're back to commodities and stuff.
Commodities, so quite, how can I say, volatile. So gold, silver and copper all got absolutely smashed on the election day. And that surprised a lot of people.
But copper bounced back
seriously. That was the point I was making, is that so gold, silver rebounded somewhat, but copper pretty much just, it was down one day, swept out all the stops and back to where it was.
I'm just looking at it now.
So it will look pretty much unchanged. But if you look at the chart, so the way I phrase it in the report is that a lot of week longs must have got flushed out there. So if there's any momentum to the top side now, just fresh buys have to come.
And not me, Shane Davis. Just a shout out to you there. He did send me an article this week. Someone's calling a supply gap, and I just replied, now there's two of us.
The thing was as well, I believe COMEX increased the margins on gold and silver as well.
That wouldn't have helped.
That wouldn't have helped. It wasn't a massive increase. I think it was 7% odd. But as I told you, as a futures trader, that's actual real cash that you have to put up.
Yeah, exactly. It's not leverage cash.
It's not leverage cash.
It's not 7%, 70%. It's 10 to 1.
Exactly. Uranium. So the funny thing about uranium is, so spot kept drifting lower. If you look at the physical, whereas uranium stocks all bounced. So obviously Trump's good for.
So I found out why. So the spot just doesn't trade. So uranium trades pretty much twice a week.
Okay.
And when the spot drips, because I was confused as to why it's not moving. It's because it's not traded.
Oh, okay.
And someone it drifted off this week. Apparently there was one order.
Okay.
One order once.
That's a pretty thin market.
Oh yeah. So I don't really. It obviously we just shouldn't ever be bothering quoting that quoting the price, but the Sprots are the best way to go, I think.
Yeah.
But,
a lot of them were up today though as well. So.
Well, that's the thing. So I'm looking at the spot physical that drifted lower, but then the actual uranium miners they all bounced.
Yeah.
And obviously, Trump being he wants energy prices lower, sees the benefit of nuclear.
Yeah. I mean, it's not hard. It's pretty compelling. But Bitcoin, you've got to speak about crypto, surely.
Yeah, so
that's that massive.
That's the one there. So that was the easiest trade there. When it was trading around 67, I was like, this is an easy trade.
You could have bought it at 71, 72 on the day.
Oh, absolutely. But then obviously Bitcoin just smashed out to new highs. It's at 75, 76 thereabouts. The thing is that, as I keep saying, and I keep chatting to my crypto bros out there. Hi, if anyone watching. Is that the main problem is institutional money. BlackRock's in there now, Van Eck, all the ETF guys are in there, and they'll sit on this Bitcoin price for a while. Kind of like you know how all the gold bugs before were like, oh, you know, the exchanges are manipulating the price. I think that's what they moved on from gold, because obviously all the central banks around the world are long now and buying. So they don't want to step in front of that train, but they're like, okay, well, we'll just smash on the crypto bros for a bit. So either way, I do think that you know, this bust out is for real. It doesn't look like it's you know, retracing, but I just have a funny feeling it's not going to you know, it's not going to go to 200 or you know,
no, well,
straight away.
It's
maturing. I think it'll. Yeah, if it's like gold and it has a 20 or 30% up year, that should be a good year for a store of value.
And you're not going to have a 2021 again, because there's real money.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So there's actual proper liquidity in there now. And
passive inflow as well.
Yeah.
So which the crypto bros they'll be furious about, because all their volatility will disappear. But,
so what that means is they've had to move to meme coins.
Okay.
So just on that, the trade of the week was Doge.
Yeah.
So the Department of Government Efficiency coin. It went from I think 16 cents to 22 cents. So it's about a 30% rally in that day. So a big move. Obviously easy in hindsight. I was like, oh, Elon, Trump, Doge. You know, like, should have figured that one out. But either way, caught some of the Bitcoin move, and yeah, we'll see how it goes from here.
Obviously, economy and politics. We've pretty much covered that, but Kramer of the week goes to the one and only original Kramer. He says that the market price action suggests traders expect a Kamala Harris win. That was the day before, and yeah, so Jim, well done, mate. You, what's he on? He's on CNBC, isn't he?
I'm not sure which one, but
yeah, they're so the one and only, the original Jim really did outdo himself this week. The only thing he possibly have done worse is been say that the market should go down. Or short Bitcoin or something. But,
so just on that, so when I was actually, you know, if anyone read my pre-election special, there is that so seasonality-wise, November and December are quite strong months on all years without elections, and then I brought up a chart seasonality on presidential election years, still the same. So November and December are still quite strong in election years. So the seasonality. With November and December, it's usually just fund managers playing catch up. So you know, they get paid performance bonuses based on, you know, how your funds perform.
Oh, end of financial year is November, isn't it?
Yeah. So no, their calendar year is when they do their bonuses. So yeah, if you're behind, guess what you had to do yesterday? You had to buy the market.
Yeah.
Because you know, these are funds, and you know, it's not like they can just sit on cash forever. You know, yeah, fair enough. You're getting a decent yield.
Well, they're mandated to be. Most of them are mandated to be a minimum 90%.
Well, there you go. So
allocated.
So they're the guys that had to buy in yesterday. Like obviously they saw a Trump win coming. They had to buy the market, and so it'll be interesting to see if it's able to continue this rally into the year's end. But yeah, I think we've had a good pop. I think it might pull back and consolidate next week. But yeah, I do think that there's more behind this. And I think it could be the fund managers that drive it.
Yeah, well, we haven't had any of this seasonal weakness in. It's been seasonality has not been a great guide this year, I've got to say.
September wasn't bad at all.
September was up. October, basically, it's almost been flipped on its head. Yeah. And September, October is usually not only are they the weakest months. Generally, they're even weaker in an election year, and we got nothing but
It was actually like record.
Yeah.
Apart from the yen carry trade day, that was August, wasn't it? That was the only pullback.
Yeah.
Because after that was the low.
And I've never seen, a 15% down move be just forgotten about like that. But yeah, I think we've only really got Nvidia left to the Mag 7 now. I don't think they didn't really report particularly well. The price action wasn't great in the Mag 7 over the US earnings season. It's kind of been overtaken by the election, obviously. It'll be interesting to see but like we've had.
So, were you going to talk on Newmont? Or?
Oh no, Newmont will be after this, but we do have trade of the week with Polynovo, which is an alpha rec, but also one of our small cap watch lists recs.
Coming soon.
Coming soon. Now, I haven't even come up for a notice. Is it a hot list? Or, but feedback welcome on what we should name our
list plus.
Yeah, no, don't do that to me. Come on. But yeah, so Polynovo is one that I always quite like. Very volatile, but I've just been waiting for someone else to bring it up, basically, because I've had some wild trades in this thing. In 2022, when it got belted, I was so proud that I'd waited from $2 down to $1.20, and when it traded 80 cents, I'm like, probably could have been more patient. And then it went to like $3 again, and then back down to $2, and it's.
Well, the thing is, if you look at this chart, there are quite a lot of sort of false signals. Like it does, it does bounce 10-15%.
But if you get on a good run, their CEO Dave Williams is like, I think he's also CEO of Bega, sorry, which is, but he loves to pump stock up. The market's pretty wise to it. They don't really listen to him too much anymore. But yeah, these guys are basically, they're expanding at a rate of knots. So, and even though they're plowing straight back into the business and going to other countries. They've been fast tracked in Hong Kong, Japan. So it's like a synthetic skin. And
for burns.
But it also does ulcers and stuff now, particularly foot stuff as well. Okay. So there's this Novasorb. I think when they started, when they first started selling, basically the COVID hit, the hospital shut down, their salespeople weren't allowed in, so and they've done a hell of a lot of recovery, and apparently they didn't know what Zoom was, like Pro Medicus did.
But either way, like it's been on a bit of a pullback over the last couple of months, and just yesterday it just popped up on my scanner. It just made a new high, and I was like, okay, well that's a good risk.
Gap opened up 3% this morning, so we bought as it drifted off today. But it is also one of our small cap banks, which is so these watch lists that we're going to do. We've essentially got mining, we've got small caps, we've got growth, income, and then some US stuff as well. So we basically going to have 10, or anywhere up to 10 in each list, and maybe a bench of 5 as well that we might be, but they're long-term holds, and within these recommendations or within these holdings, there'll be risk management plans, areas to trim, areas to add more, really detailed earnings season updates. So instead of trying to be all things to all people, we've just decided that. Let's pick our high convictions, go harder at those, and then just trade within. Like trades like CSL, where we've actively managed that over the last 3.5 years and got 60% out of the stock that literally you'd be down on, even after dividends after 3 or 4 years. So we're kind of playing to our strengths a little bit there.
Which is a bit of a segue into
so Newmont as well, and basically. With the gold miners, so we had physical ETF. We watched gold prices go up, and then JT and I were like, "Gee, why are these miners going anywhere?" And I googled, and we managed to stumble upon the fact that gold miners were actually at historical lows versus the gold price.
That's right. It was lagging. It's like I was just saying this because the spot had already started moving.
Like
the spot went from 21 to 24, but the gold miners hadn't moved at all, and we were like. You asked what's another good mining? I just said Northern Star. And,
well we bought Newmont initially.
We bought Newmont first,
and that was in April. So we bought it with momentum. We got 25% out of that in 16 weeks, and then we flicked into Northern Star, and because Northern Star had been lagging, and Kai, from his boat sometimes will put us together. When he's on his boat, he's rattling together his relative value models. So
that's right, yeah.
Kai's got an actuarial and algo background, and so we do run these models and then obviously Northern Star was really lagging. So we flicked in a Northern Star, and then we got 25% out of Northern Star. You can see on the right there, and all the while Newmont's actually now down 7.5%.
So we've taken profit on Northern Star and back into Newmont.
And so now we're back into Newmont 7% cheaper. But not only that, we squeezed an extra 25% out. So
what are you saying? There's a bit of an edge to being active there, is there?
No, I'm not hinting at it. I'm flatly saying it. It's we do about the same amount of trades in a year than I used to do in a morning. I'm constantly having to hold back. But yeah, look, they're obviously there are different ways to make money, and we've got the advantage that we've got a fellow who's really experienced algos, experienced options, I'm derivatives and been in markets. I've been through every black swan since the mid '90s. Like there is that stock goes on a tear and there's sentiment behind it or whatever. And Newmont's a little bit unpopular at the moment. At the end of the day, it's still the only S&P 500 gold stock, and it's basically it was an accounting thing really. Like their ASIC was higher this quarter, because they front loaded some costs and they're going to have their predicted record production and blah blah blah. So, but again, even if the relative value just comes back to normalised now between these two stocks, you'd probably expect a 20% uplift in Newmont, I would say. So
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, let's.
And then
here we go.
Yeah, members dashboard is coming soon. So as I said, we've got there's a few sort of unique features with it, and I know we don't normally do a bit of a promo for ourselves, but unfortunately you're just going to have to listen to it, listeners.
But today you get one.
Today you get one. So you have to wait till the end of the podcast for a free special. No, just kidding. But no, we really have worked on this, and it'll be launching in the next couple of weeks. But we've had a lot of success from our trading background with these risk management reports, which was. Really, that work was the leading for nailing WiseTech.
Yeah.
I can claim it all I like, but that was, and we've done the same with things like Prometheus and Levicia, and the plans have worked out really well.
And the key is it's homework that we're going to do already.
Exactly.
All we're doing is put in a format that that everyone can have a read and digest at their own pace.
Exactly. So they're only about five odd pages, and which is 4 more pages than I normally like, but. But it does give you a bit of background on it. But then obviously we'll have features like at what point does it get expensive and where you should be trimming some. So there'll be sort of live updates with that as well, and then some technicals and things which will only be on 20-minute delays. We've got TradingView plugged in there. So pretty much a fairly large uplift, and like I said, pretty unique way. I don't think any other broker's really doing it the way we're doing it, which is the way we like it, because pretty much what we started this joint was because we couldn't find anyone that actually serviced us as traders. So but it'd be interesting to see what the feedback is. It's been fairly good so far, but I'm just through the growth list as well. JT's going to have the mining list is going to be done on the Ellison curve.
That's right. So we want to buy the explorers that are finding things, and once they find something and have to get the mine approved and get financing,
come cap in hand.
Yeah, you don't want to buy it there. That's the orphan phase. And then once the instos come in for the development phase, or once they're in production.
Once they stop cat raising, which is nearly all of them all the time, but obviously that list will be able to track when they're turning back around as well. So, and it'd be nice, and obviously we've been generally ASX focused. We've got some US recs coming. There's pretty obvious ones. Obviously Tesla was one, but Intuitive Surgical was one. John Deere, which I've spent way too much time on their website recently after going on that trip out west, and then but some exciting stuff coming, and get in contact if you want to have a trial or have a look or do a walkthrough with Dave or something like that, by all means. So we're pretty proud of it, and big thanks to our digital team.
Exactly.
I'm glad we're not doing that anymore. So
that's coming, and
then really I think that pretty much
that's the last page.
That wraps it up basically. So
what was that? So what's your prediction for next week? Are you bullish or bearish?
I don't know whether I don't think it should continue to rally, but the momentum's pretty like I think there's a CPI number out next week, which is going to be benign. So I think that's probably going to push it higher. The employment's out of the way. We just had a rate cut. I don't really see much stopping it at this stage.
So you're bullish.
Yeah, I suppose so. I just can't say the words. Like not necessarily shell shocked at the reaction this week. I wouldn't be surprised if it pulls back. That's for sure. But particularly those bond yields, it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
That's kind of like the one sticking point as to why that's the one that sort of shocks me as to why this equities market keeps rallying, but it keeps doing it.
So whether this is sentiment driven and the bum falls out of it and it falls back, but I think the economic numbers are starting to worsen, but everyone's got the Trump hopium now.
That's
that he's going to fix everything.
That's a big thing.
Exactly. So that's the thing. The only thing that was going to derail us was weakening economic numbers, but now they think that he's just literally going to fix it.
We actually forgot to talk about Jerome Powell and the announcement as well.
Oh, yeah.
So they only cut by 25 basis points as well.
Yeah, they were never really going to do 50, I don't think. But yeah, you got asked about his job because Trump said he was like the first person he was going to fire.
And he just went, no.
And it turns out legally he can't fire him. So, and he used to be a lawyer, Jerome Powell, and they asked him about it, and he goes, "Would you step aside if asked?" And he went, "No." So Janet Yellen's probably also. Oh man, she's 175 years old, so she should be retired anyway. But yeah, she's definitely gone. I think he's already named quite a few people who are going to get that are already on seat.com. But Nancy Pelosi probably bought Amazon and Tesla this week. She knew.
But so just on that, I'm bullish for next week. I don't think it'll be as strong as what we saw this week, obviously, but I do think it just keeps grinding higher. And interestingly, we checked the Fear and Greed Index. It's greed, but you'd think it'd be greedier. Like it's actually it's reserve greed, so we haven't seen the blow off top yet. But either way, I do think it heads on higher.
Well, I don't like what is left to throw at this market. Like it is like in terms of it is like an armor-plated tank that just keeps rolling. So it thank God we've got an investment committee because I'd be lagging the index by about 20% this year. And because we wouldn't have had you were on the gold thing, and I do think that price action in copper was interesting. I've got to say, like that was the first that I've been sort of Shane doesn't let me hide on that one. I get called out every time it drops, but I'm really confident in that as a long-term thing. But that's the first time where I've gone, oh wow, like that was an aggressive bounce. And he is he's like pro growth. They reckon it'll bring inflation. So it'll be interesting to see. And I think I think there's more strikes in South America, which may have been a part of the catalyst. But but there seems to always be many strikes and many mines being.
But either way, come on, Dr. Copper, keep rallying. That's what we want.
Well, yeah, that'd make me very happy. So only been calling it for 2 years. But anyway.
Well, thanks for watching and thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you very much. And and obviously for those of you viewing who don't know who I am because I don't have a beard anymore, I wasn't here last week for the charity thing. So I had my head and my face shaved for charity for cancer survivors. So. You can check our socials to donate, and I've done my bit now. I look like an idiot. I've had a mustache for most of the week, But get on the site and donate because it goes to really worthwhile charities who don't get any government funding, and it helps out cancer survivors. But hopefully Kai will have docked his boat by next week. We'll have him back, and we'll catch you next week.
Keep your eyes peeled for the new website.